I'll give you another example, much more benign, but still fundamentally corrupt. You can place bets today based upon what words a particular politician or celebrity will say in public remarks. Well, of course, there's one person who knows the answer to that question, the person making the speech. And there's a series of people around that individual who know the answer as well. So when people know how a bet is going to play out, it's an easy opportunity for them to make money. But these markets make it seem as if these predictions are on the level. They are not. And so gullible consumers get conned into placing bets on markets where the outcome is knowable, where they are essentially bound to lose.
A U.S. Army Special Forces soldier, Gannon Ken Van Dyke, was charged by the DOJ in the Southern District of New York, where federal prosecutors allege Van Dyke converted classified military intelligence into financial bets placed on a prediction market. Those wagers that Van Dyke placed were tied directly to real-world military operations. According to the Southern District of New York, Van Dyke obtained highly sensitive classified information connected to a U.S. operation involving Venezuela and its leadership. That operation reportedly included planning tied to the removal or capture of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. Prosecutors point to the timing of the bets made by Van Dyke, where they claim he obtained advanced knowledge of operational outcomes, thus using that information before it became public to place trades on a prediction market platform tied to geopolitical events. And that would be none other than Polymarket. Polymarket, the prediction platform at the center of the case, operates like a hybrid between a stock exchange and a political futures casino. Users place real money on real-world outcomes, such as leadership changes in wars or conflicts, or, a broad range of many governmental actions. And in this case, prosecutors allege Van Dyke staked roughly $33,000 across multiple betting positions. The outcomes he bet on were not guesses, the feds say. They were already known to him through classified channels due to his Army positioning. Van Dyke placed numerous bets. In total, $33K put in, and he made over $400,000 from those bets. The charges Van Dyke is facing are wire fraud, commodities fraud, theft of government information, unauthorized use of classified material, and financial misconduct tied to illicit gains. Here's the president's response to the charges against Van Dyke.
Are you concerned that federal employees are betting on these prediction markets and potentially getting rich?
Well, I don't know about it, but was he betting that they would get him or they wouldn't get him?
It sounds like he was betting on his removal from office, that Maduro would be removed.
Well, that's
it sounds like
interesting.
he was involved in the operation.
That's like Pete Rose betting on his own team. It's a little like Pete Rose. Pete Rose, they kept him out of the Hall of Fame because he bet on his own team. Now, if he bet against his team, that would be no good, but he bet on his own team. I'll look into it. The whole world, unfortunately, has become somewhat of a casino. And you look at what's going on all over the world, in Europe and every place they're doing these betting things. I was never much in favor of it. I don't like it conceptually, but it is what it is. No, I think that I'm not happy with any of that stuff, but they have all these different sites. They have predictive markets. It's a crazy world. It's a much different world than it was.
It sure is, Mr. President. I've noticed that too.
Right now, that is that Donald Trump Jr. is joining the company as an advisor. Here with us right now on set is Kalshi co-founder and CEO Tareq Mansour. Great to see you this
Thanks
morning.
for having me. Great seeing you.
There's a lot to talk about and unpack here, but talk about Donald Trump Jr.? How did this come about?
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, as everyone's seen, Kalshi over the last few months, so we first legalized election markets, and then we absolutely exploded. So our user base has grown by 100x. We onboarded millions of customers and have taken the notion of prediction markets mainstream. So now people are talking about prediction markets in a way they didn't a few years ago. And the interesting thing about, Don has always been at the forefront of these types of spaces and new technologies. He's always been very in tune with what the American people feel and want. And he understands kind of this notion that people have been ready to fire the traditional institutions and authorities, and basically got tired of fake news, I think, and that's why they're going to Twitter, and that's why they're going to prediction markets. And I can't think of anyone else who would be better to help us promote the vision of prediction markets and what they can do for society.
Let me ask you a question. How much of this is about long-term trying to make this, you talk about legalizing the prediction markets in this country, how much of this is an effort at that in a much bigger way?
I don't think I've thought about that at all. I mean, prediction markets are legal. We've legalized them last October. I mean, that's done. And that's why we've exploded. That's why we've, millions of Americans, as we speak, are actually betting on, we have 983 markets live right now. A lot of them are actually about the upcoming inauguration. Who's going to attend? Is AOC going to be there? How many people will attend? Is he going to buy Greenland? And a variety of other things.
Prosecutors are calling this a financial exploitation of national security intelligence. This is believed to be one of the first cases where classified intelligence plus using prediction markets equals direct financial crime prosecution. These bets are increasingly tied to real-world geopolitical forecasting, and now federal enforcement is drawing a hard line. If you can't legally trade it in stocks, you also can't secretly bet it with insider intel. The fallout is already moving through policy circles. Lawmakers have responded with new restrictions aimed at prediction market participation by government personnel, signaling concern that these platforms could become intelligence leak amplifiers, insider trading ecosystems, or unregulated geopolitical betting markets. Senator Chris Murphy.
We are introducing legislation today entitled Banning Event Training on Sensitive Operations and Federal Functions, the Bets Off Act. This is long overdue legislation which would prohibit these prediction markets like Kalshi and Polymarket from offering markets to allow people to bet on government action and on markets where there is one individual that controls the outcome of the bet. These are fundamentally corrupt markets. They are rife with insider trading, and they offer incredibly perverse incentives, especially inside government, for government actors to push official decision-making towards their financial interests. I want to give you maybe the most stark example of why this legislation is necessary. Right before the U.S. attacks on Iran, there was a flurry of activity on Polymarket. In fact, the day before the strikes began, there was a series of very specific bets that were made. These bets guessed, put money down on the United States attacking Iran the following day. Now, this was not a frequent bet that was made on Polymarket. It was, in fact, a very exceptional day where there were many bets made on this specific prediction that U.S. military action against Iran would occur the next day. Those bets paid off to the tune of over $100,000 at a minimum for each of the individuals who placed those bets. Most of those accounts were set up on the day that they made those bets. It seems pretty clear what happened. People inside the White House or very close to the White House with knowledge of the attack that was imminent cashed in. That is fundamentally corrupt, and it is frankly stunning to people that it is legal, that it is allowed for these prediction markets to allow for bets to be made on such consequential questions like war and peace. And so our legislation is pretty simple. It simply says that these markets cannot allow people to make bets on government decision making and, frankly, on other instances where there is one single individual who controls and knows the outcome of a market.
Regulators are also expanding scrutiny into how these platforms handle real-world event contracts tied to conflict and government action. The case is still unfolding in federal court, but the message from prosecutors is already clear. Classified intelligence is not leverage. Classified intelligence is not capital. And in the modern financial ecosystem, the feds say it will become a liability to you if you try to monetize that information. And that's the report. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate all the supporters out there. This is the Plug Power Network.